Well, good evening, folks. I hope you're well. Uh, well, the video this evening I'll be here as long as I can be, um, but I'm all Brexited out, quite frankly. I'm sick of hearing about Brexit, Brexit, Brexit. So this isn't a video about Brexit. Anybody with any sense knows that Britain would be better off outside of Europe. So that's my personal opinion, and I am a Brexiteer. I voted to leave, so we can put that one to bed. Is that a maverick decision? No, not really. It's something I've thought long and hard about, but I have lived in Germany, I have lived in Belgium, I have been to boarding school in Germany, and I worked for 4.5 years in Maastricht University Hospital. Well, worked. I know how the Europeans think. Okay. And I can speak German and Dutch and English, of course. So I do understand the mindset of such people. And I can tell you that Britain is absolutely unique. And I'm a little Englander, through and through. That's where I'm coming from. So that's enough of that. And no, I am not anti-Semitic. I'm not anti-Jewish. I'm not anti-anything, quite frankly. People will be what they want to be, as far as I'm concerned, because life's too short, isn't it, to worry about such things. And as for politics, poly means many, and ticks are a parasite. As far as I'm concerned, politicians are parasites. And yeah, I can never understand the motivation for anyone wanting to be a politician. My political hero, if you're interested at all, is Enoch Powell, or was Enoch Powell, who was one of the last true statesmen. Him and Anthony Wedgwood Benn, Tony Benn, two of the greatest politicians that Britain have ever had. So they're my political views, to answer some of the questions that I get. Anyway, on to the topic then. Most of you know that I spend most of my life now using lasers to heal people of their maladies, and this is what I spend my life doing. And I want to talk about the importance of light in our everyday events and our everyday life, because without sunlight in our lives or upon the earth, we would all die. No doubt within 3 days the world would kill a lot of us, quite frankly, in absolute ice age. We can't believe. So we are totally reliant upon light. But light is a strange thing, because we think that light is light. It's not. Yes, we know that light is made up of photons, but we can do a lot with photons. And there's two types of light. There's coherent light, which is light that has been trained and manipulated to go there separate, each photon in a parallel way, purely parallel. And then there is scattered light, which is from the sun. And there's two types of light, okay? Coherent, organized in a straight line, parallel, and scattered. It's important to remember that for the sake of this video. Also, people will know that I am a confirmed flat earther. I am not a ballhead, and I am not embarrassed to say such things. I believe that our world that we're living upon is this flat as a pancake. And in not a ball, it is actually like a 10-pence piece, if you like, and we're on the top. And surrounding us, keeping the water in, if you like, in our little basin, is the ice sea wall, aka the Antarctica. I thought long and hard about this because when I first heard about the flat earth theory versus the ball earth theory, I thought, who are they trying to kid? Because as a child, of course, the first thing you do when you get shoved into primary school, as I recall that day oh so well, when I was ripped away from my mother's arms, crying, and she too was crying because she was giving up her little lamb, the youngest of 5, into the clutches of the education system. 5 years old, being dragged, kicking and screaming. And I went to primary school, my first school, if you like, in Cambridgeshire. All right. So I was greeted by a very nice lady, my teacher, it transpired. And the first thing that I can remember it like it was yesterday, folks, and I'm 58 this year. The smell of a mixture of pine disinfectant and puke. That's keeping it a family show. And I was surrounded by my equally distressed classmates who were leaving their mummies for the first time for a complete day at school in our little shorts. Yes. Once the drama of the occasion had gone and they shut the doors and locked us in like they do in prison, I remember being shown around the school en group, all 23 of us. I remember that was about the class size, 23 new starters. And we were shown around the school. And then we were shown our classroom. And I remember the little hexagonal tables where they would sit us all around in little miniature chairs. And I'd never seen these little miniature chairs before. I was fascinated by them. But equally once I dried my tears and they're there and have a biscuit and some orange juice, sit around your table, and we had a choice where we could sit. And there we are. But the one thing that was very noticeable to me looking around this blue-walled classroom. Blue is a very soothing colour. That's why they use it in hospitals. A slightly bluey-greeny colour. It's a relaxing colour. I was fascinated by the pictures of the solar system all around this room. And there was a big ball in the corner. Apparently it was called the globe. And the teacher started to do her bit. But I do remember that day, the first day in school. It wasn't just craying in and learning to spell and write, and the alphabet, of course, and basic maths. And we didn't have the abacus. We were one step ahead of that. We were going to talk about the world we live upon. And each table, strangely enough, had a globe that we could all spin and play with and look at all these funny little shapes that were on it. And the teacher would go around each table explaining what it is, and this is the world. These are the planets. This was day 1. Day 1. And we were playing around with these globes. And the teacher explained that countries, the land we live on is England, and that's Scotland, and that part is Ireland, and then we spin it around and we can see where America is. And we did this little project for about 3 days, playing around with the globe. Look into my eyes, I tell you. Anyway, at the end of that little exercise, I went home at 3:30. I saw my mummy waiting in the playground for me. I was delighted. And my mother said to me when we got home, "Did you like it?" "No." "Did you make any friends?" "Yes, a couple." "What did you learn? What did they do with you?" "Oh, we did some writing and basic maths. But what did you like most about the day?" I said, "I liked spinning that ball thing." "Oh," she said, "the globe. Did you learn where you live on the map, on the globe?" And we went through this rigmarole. And we spent a lot of time thinking and talking about this world that we live on. From day one, that happened. The indoctrination, in hindsight, started on day one. And it's ever likely then that as adults we grow through, everything about the world is globe orientated and it's just taken for granted. And they talk about the curvature and the weather and how does the weather work and etc. How does lightning happen and all this sort of stuff we learn as we grow older, and nobody ever questions it. And even when we're told such bullshit, in hindsight we learn it's bullshit, but at the time we're spinning around at 1,200 miles an hour. We're vertical. When we're vertical, the people in Australia are upside down. Hanging on for dear life, are they? And what happens then if we're spinning around? What if I were to jump up in the air or hover in a helicopter? Would I watch the world rotate below me? And it didn't take long for me to smell a rat. But I daren't say a thing, just in case. I didn't want to be foolish, you see, because I needed peer group support, because as you grow older you start to rely and want to be part of the gang, and the gang predominantly, all of my friends anyway, didn't have the same thoughts as me. So I had to put it away before I looked stupid and lose my street cred in it, though, as you get older. And you do geography at school and you learn all this stuff about the Suez Canal and the railway system, the transport system and the weather patterns, and we learn all this. And it is all about the globe. And then, of course, yes, we put a man on the moon when I was 8 years old in 1969. Yes. Everybody watched with fascination in black and white on telly. I was like this at school. Yeah. Watching it at home with my family. Wow. Watching this. And all the time I had questions like, who's on the moon before it lands, the Eagle, to film the Eagle landing? They must have somebody there to take a picture of the Eagle landing, surely. Nobody seemed to have an answer for that one. And if we can take a beautiful picture of the Eagle landing, why can't they turn the camera around, the very expensive Hasselblad, to take a full picture of our ball, black or white or not? Why didn't they transmit a picture, a full frame picture of the Earth in a ball state. They didn't, did they? It was all focused on these silly little men jumping around, pretending to be weightless. One small step for man, giant step for mankind, yacht, leap, whatever. And we got suckered into this. And it's painfully obvious to me that if you were to speed the film up, forget the eagle landing, but speed the film up a little bit, just a little, maybe a third time more than it actually is, those men would be walking around and falling over at normal speed. Normal speed, because that's what they were doing. The only time that we got to see it, the original moon landing, was when they were showing it or broadcasting it at a slow rate. And that gave the impression that everything happens in slow motion. It's not slow motion, they said. This is weightlessness. A man falls over, he falls over slowly. But if you play it just a little bit faster, it looks like somebody's fallen on their ass just as well as they may have been falling on their ass on the earth. And we got suckered, hook, line and sinker, that we've actually been on the moon. And America have done it. And we to this day still talk about the successful eagle has landed, Americans got to the moon first, nah. Well, that's that. And I've always had in my mind this, I could smell a rat. But I want you to know this, talking about light at the beginning. There's a lot of things you can do with light. There are now proof, there is proof, that light isn't the fastest thing. What is it, 186,000 miles a second per second? And nothing travels faster than light. It does. It's been proven that things can, and Tesla proved this, that light, you can travel faster than light. There was an error in the calculation of light speed by Einstein, and it was never corrected. Of course you can go faster than the speed of light, or produce something that goes faster than the speed of light. So you can do a lot of things with light, and we take a lot of things as a standard, as a immovable, you can't mess with the equations. Well, you can, because Einstein was wrong, and he's been proven wrong so many times. Tesla proved Einstein's theory full of holes. Okay. But he served the agenda, didn't he, Einstein? And Tesla didn't. But you can bend light. They bend light every time you wear spectacles. It bends the reflection back to you, the light coming in. It focuses the light, and the way it does it is it bends it, doesn't it? You get it at one angle, and suddenly the glass in your lens will bend it to move it wherever your focal point is of your eye. So we can bend light. We can do a lot of things with light. We can change its frequency. We can change its color. We can split the light up, white light, into the colors of the spectrum. Okay. Because just because we can't see the light doesn't mean that it's not there if you look at the spectrum. Because we see only a fraction of available light that could be seen and is seen by insects, for example. If you could see light as a bumblebee, you would be in heaven to see such beauty when you look at a flower in the garden. But we are very limited human beings, despite the fact that we think we're so advanced. We're not. We're crap at seeing in the dark. Yet, look what owls do. You know, there are so many things. We don't see X-rays, but they're light, part of the light spectrum, don't we? Aren't they? So light is a real trickster. And where there's tricks to be had, we get tricksters and jesters. So it didn't take too much persuasion upon me to convince me that, yes, I could smell a rat. They had me at hello, the flat earth lot. Because I thought, my God, that's a relief. Not everybody thinks like the bullheads. There's some flatties out there already. And the more I listened to people like Eric Dubay and others, I thought, oh, I've got a soulmate or a few soulmates. And I was an early adopter of the flat world belief. In the words of Judge Judy, if something doesn't make sense, it's probably not true. And it didn't make any sense to me. Why would they lie about the fact is that we live on a flat plane? Why would they want to convince us that we live on a ball? It didn't make sense that we live on a ball at all. And they would argue that, well, what makes you think we're on a flat plane? It's a real tough one, that is. Well, it's obvious if you know, why is it, for example, that when you can stand on the edge of a seaside, and watch a boat disappear over the horizon? You see, there we are, told you, it's a ball because it's gone round the corner. But I've got a Nikon P900 up here, and I can say, okay, well, the last time I saw the ship, it was over there, and I can point my camera there and zoom in and keep zooming in, and magically I can pull that ship that was out of my sight back into frame. Well, is that magic? Of course, because the reality is it hasn't gone over because of the curvature at all, has it? It's just that the light, my horizon and my perspective had changed. That was a big thing for me to discover that. It was a tipping point. And then I knew that if they've lied about that, it makes sense that they'll lie about other things. And I still try to figure out, quite frankly, why the system went from Copernicus's time. Before Copernicus, everybody considered the earth flat. It was no big deal. It doesn't pay my gas bill, whereas it's flat or a ball. But it's the principle, isn't it? It's the principle. Who benefits from convincing us all that we live on a ball? Well, the people who want it for themselves, fundamentally. The flat plane. Because, and I'll see if I can show you, if I can find the little sucker, which I should have done in true Bluetooth style to show you. He says, trying to find the damn thing. Where are you? I hope somebody hasn't stolen it from my drawer. Oh. Come on, little monkey, where are you? Here he is. Sorry about this. This here is what we truly live on. A flat world surrounded and encased by a seawall called the Antarctic. But do you know who guards all the areas around the Antarctic? Who pays the salary of the guards, because they have to guard it all, just in case one of us little suckers decides to go hiking 160 feet to get over this. Because once we get over this, there's more land here and here and here. Our world, our planet that we live on, isn't just that big, folks. It is unknown but infinite. This is just like me punching a bit out of cheese to show you a piece of cheese when it comes from a huge area. This is just the start of it. But look at this. Okay? If you flatten out a globe and put it on your wall, you'll see that this is how everybody perceives the land masses in an atlas. Yes, even atlases tell us the world is a ball. But if you're an airline pilot and you want to fly to Australia from Great Britain, you have to go to the strangest route to get to Australia. Shortest distance between 2 points, of course, is a straight line. You would think that economically you'd fly straight towards Australia, wouldn't you? There's a bit of a deviation depending what part of Australia you want to hit. But no, they don't. Funnily enough, the moment you go anywhere near that area, the sat-navs don't work. The aircraft lose their ability to be tracked. The tracking of such aircraft is disabled for a long time. And people are forced to do strange journeys that are at least a third longer than they should be to give us the illusion that it's a long trip, when it could be shortest distance between 2 points. That makes sense to me. But when you get into this, travelling to these exotic places like Australia and New Zealand, whether it be from America to New Zealand even, airlines suddenly start to fly in directions you would think are counterproductive to actually going to the place you want to go. And the tracking of such aircraft on radar tracking systems doesn't seem to work. Why? Because they don't want you to track them. And airline pilots cannot question why they have to go to such strange routes. They will just do as they are told. It's simple. It's a complete fabrication. And I listened to all the arguments about the ball earth theory versus the flat earth theory. But another giveaway, of course, is those people who say they've circumnavigated the world. Well, that's perfectly understandable then. They've circumnavigated, they've gone round in a circle. All they've done is go round and round the garden that way. But they haven't gone round it this way. If it was a ball, they haven't gone around it this way, north to south, have they? No, they haven't. They've always gone east to west or west to east. Nobody's circumnavigated north, carried on, and come up south, have they? Why not? Because the reality is anybody who circumnavigates the world can only go round in a bloody circle and follow the ice wall. But I said earlier on, who do you think guards this ice wall? A bit like the Game of Thrones with the ice wall up the north. Who guards that? Well, they're self-employed, freelance, but they're not self-employed actually, they're salaried by NASA. Why would it be down to NASA to police the ice wall worldwide, i.e. around the world? Yeah, around the world. NASA employees, the military employees of NASA, funded by NASA, are employed to guard and stop people approaching this ice wall, and certainly stopping them attempting, they won't get near it, attempting to scale it up and get out onto the other land masses that are surrounding us. Because these bastards want it for themselves. That's why. So anybody who still thinks, you would say, well, do they want us to believe it's a ball? What's in it for them? What's in it for them is that if we accept that we live on a ball, we have to accept there's no escape from our entrapment. Okay? But if we live on a flat plane, we know if we can get over the seawall, or the ice wall, we can keep on going, if some people can. But if we live on a ball, we just go round and round and round. And it's entrapment. So there are a lot of reasons why, and I won't waste your time going through the pros and cons and the arguments to and from flat earth and versus ball earth. There's lots of brilliant videos you could watch in preference to me. But I just wanted to say in this video that looking at the evidence, and that's what you have to do, is forget what you were taught at school. Why were they so keen on week 1 when I was 5 years old in my very first school to immediately pollute my mind with the fact is that I live upon a ball? Okay, now the teachers don't know, probably, that they're purveyors of lies and deceit from the Jesuits. They really don't. It was a Jesuit thing to thrust this idea upon humans, just as it was a Jesuit idea to take control of this world, in which they do control this world. The Jesuits are behind every evil decision made for the control of human beings on this planet. Make no mistake about it. It was the Jesuits who invented the Catholic religion. And it was the Jesuits who invented all, if not most, of the religious books for the control of human beings. It was the Catholic Church via the Jesuits that wrote the Quran for the control of the Islamists and those people. And the Bible, well, take your pick which one you want to believe. And it's all about controlling what we think and what we believe to be true. We entrap ourselves. We don't need a cage around us, folks, because we have to believe that there's no escape this. If I keep on walking, I'll just come back to where I left. Wouldn't I just go round and round the garden? But there's one sure proof, okay, is that we do not live on a ball. And that is the firmament and taking photographs of the stars. Okay. And that's the dead giveaway. Because if you do a time lapse of the rotation of the star system above our heads, you end up with lots of rings. And there is no perspective, is there, on stars. You'd think if there's stars upon stars upon stars upon stars, you'd think if you moved that way a little bit, you would perhaps start to do that, like looking like that. I can move, I get a perspective of seeing one behind the other maybe, or at a further distance back. But no. There is no depth in our stars, folks. Which means they're stuck on our firmament. That ball that surrounds us. Half ball that separates us. So we are like a pleasure dome, like Center Parcs. Just like the Truman story. They were even shoving that in our face and saying, look at this. But it is absolutely true. We're just too stupid to admit that we've been taken in. But I can see the curvature when I look right across from left to the right, and look, I can see. No. Just as glass can refract light, so can a tiny dot moisture of air, a moisture of water floating around in the air. And if you combine that and you get a photon coming from something you see, that can be distorted and bent and curved. So when you look on what you think should be a flat horizon, it appears curved because our light, in order to accommodate that image, has to bend it in order to get it focused on our retinas or via our glasses. But if you are looking at a curved surface, what you can do is straighten it out by putting a corrective lens in front of your lenses. And you'll find that things like the GoPro camera has a lens that deliberately curves the extremes of any photograph it takes. It deliberately curves it. You have to put a correction lens on to stop that effect happening. But just because what we see is often a total lie, because our body plays tricks on us, we have to see the truth. And the truth is, if you lay a train track from London to Scotland, there is no accounting in the mathematics or engineering to account for the curvature of the earth, because it doesn't exist. It is called water level because water is level. But they have to say it's a spirit level. Yes. But it's the water level. Okay. Above sea level. Everything is level this, level that. Well, if it's curved, how can it be level? Artificial horizons on aircraft. Absolutely level. Do pilots fly from one side of the globe to the other, having to continually push forward on that stick to take into account the curvature? Do me a favour. No. They spend most of their time trying to fly in line with the horizon, not losing height or gaining height. And the only way they can do that is fly towards the horizon over a flat plane surface. Autopilots do not correct and automatically adjust for the curvature of the earth. Okay, there is no Coriolis effect. And somebody will say, of course it's a ball, because in Australia, if you pull the plug out, the water goes round that way. But in opposite, into Britain, the water go down the drain that way. That's nonsense. Because I can decide in Great Britain, if I pull the plug out and flick my finger around, I can make the water go down my drain from left to right. But I can also make it go down right to left. It's how I influence the direction of the water, not the world. You give that a try. Just swish your hand round once. Nothing to do with us spinning around which way the water flows down your drain. You try, and you'll be amazed. Anybody with any sense has to realize that we are told we live on a ball for the agenda of those who wish to control us. There is no way, if you are truly honest with yourself, to believe and honestly conceive and believe that your mate that you're on the phone to in Australia, as I phone him at 12 midday, he's at 12 midnight, allegedly, and he's upside down. Oh, really? Because even if I tip you upside down until you open your eyes will still look horizontal. And you'll want to look to your horizontal plane, whether you're in Australia or not. And the sun and the moon, well, that's another story. They are within the pleasure dome. Okay. And the sun and the moon are the same size, just as I've shown here. If this light worked, but its batteries run out sadly. But the sun and the moon are here within the firmament, going round and round the garden like a teddy bear, giving us alternate light and moonlight, sunlight and moonlight. In the day the sun heats us up, and at the night the moon cools us down. It's a fair exchange, because moonlight is cold and sunlight is warm. And nature abhors difference. It wants to be fair. The sun and the moon are 35 miles wide. Okay. And it's estimated they are 70,000 miles high. That's all. Within our firmament. So that's my little journey. And I consider myself as sane as a judge. And I'm quite proud to say and openly admit, even to my patients or my work colleagues, when I meet them, that yes, I'm him, I'm the flat earther, and I'm not embarrassed to say it. I'm not a flat earth denier, folks. I stand proud as an enlightened one amongst a sea of idiots who still think we live on a ball. Justifiably so. There is no calculations made when you lay a railway track from London to Scotland for the curvature of the earth. The train just wants to go on flat track. That's all. You tell me how many train tracks account for the curvature of the earth, and I'll buy you a beer. We can bend light, and sometimes light does fool us. We can split light up into its component parts. And don't you think nature can fool us sometimes for our eyes making tricks, playing tricks on us, and tricks on our mind? Of course, but we can correct things by lenses. And without lenses, the natural lens of moisture in the air can give us the impression that we look out and yes, we think the earth is curved, it's only because of the moisture in the air that you're looking through is bending the light as it comes into through your pupils. Because we try to cram as much into this information system called our eyes as possible, our field of view, our perspective, our horizon. I would urge you, if you're on the fence whether to be a ball head or a flat head, to look and investigate yourself. Because one thing I have learnt is you cannot nail jelly to the wall, and you cannot push a rope. And you cannot convince a person against their will, because they will be of the same opinion still. We have to learn this by ourselves and do your own education and due diligence. Listen to what other people, what has made them change their perspective from being a globe head to a ball head. And then maybe they will say something that rings true to you. Because there used to be a saying, an expert is a man out of town with a suitcase or a briefcase. Well, nobody likes experts. As I said before, X is a has-been and a spurt is a drip under pressure. But privately, I suffered a long time being a flathead without saying a word in case I was going to be belittled by my peers, but they weren't my peers. They weren't my equals. They certainly weren't my betters. You can be told to sit down, folks, but inside you can still be standing up. Well, I choose to stand up now and be counted. And I'm very proud to say that I am a flat earther, and justifiably so, and I'm very proud to say it, with no embarrassment. And I would look anyone square in the face and ask them why it is that NASA employees are utilised to guard the surrounding ice wall that surrounds all of us. Why would NASA, a space agency, be forced to employ people to guard the icy wall that surrounds us, known as the Antarctic? Because there's not enough military people out there to guard it if all the world's population wanted to go to find the truth themselves. That's why. Thank you very much, NASA, but look at the backup they have with the military and the surveillance that goes on. You can't, and I can't, get near the Antarctic ice wall, which surrounds us all. And the North Pole is smack in the centre with a few penguins. And that's not guarded at all. Any fool can go there. But you try getting to the South Circuit, the South Pole that surrounds us all. You see, of course they're hiding something. And they don't want to share. Isn't that the case? Catch you tomorrow, folks, and do your own due diligence and investigate